In this video lecture, we're going to talk about theme, and theme in literature is kind of the big thing that everything leads up to. We've talked about plot and character and setting and point of view and symbolism, and all of those things together work to establish the theme in a particular story. But it's a little bit confusing because a lot of students think that theme is what the story is about, what happens in the story. The story is about family. The story is about a woman who kills her lover. The story is about an angel who comes to live with the family. That's a story's subject. What we want to think about when we think about theme and when we write about theme is what the author is saying about the subject matter. So theme is, first of all, the central or dominant idea in the story. Again, and we want to avoid thinking about what happens in the story or what the story is about. We want to think about the dominant idea. So ask yourself when you're writing about theme or discussing theme, not what happens in the story, not what the story is about, but what the author is saying about what happens in the story. It's the controlling idea. Just like in your writing, you have a thesis statement with a main idea and a controlling idea. And the main idea is the subject, and the controlling idea is what you have to say about the subject you're writing about. The same is true with literature. The controlling idea is what the author is saying about the subject matter, and it's applicable to the world outside of literature. Okay, it's applicable to the wider world. It conveys the values and ideas expressed by the story, and again, it extends beyond the story and applies to the world outside of fiction. So if we were writing, if we were writing a paper about a good man is hard to find, and you were to say that the theme is communication. Communication is a thing. It's a noun. We want to discover what Flannery O'Connor, the author of that story, is saying about communication. And really, it could be a myriad of different things. You know, she's saying that, when people are dishonest, communication breaks down, or families need to be honest with each other above all. I like to tell students that when they're thinking of theme and when they're writing about theme, they need to think in terms of verbs. You know, family has no verb, but a family needs to communicate in order to have a good relationship. That's a more well thought out idea, and it has a verb, and it's a theme, because that's applicable not just to the story but to the world outside of the literature. So that's something to think about. I also want you to consider when you're writing about literature and you're talking about literature and theme, going beyond just the cliche or the moral of the story. Theme is kind of loosely the moral of the story, but you want to go beyond that. Cliches are overused expressions and phrases that we've all heard a million times. There's no place like home. Don't put off tomorrow what you can do today. Slow and steady wins the race. All of those might be themes, but these are phrases that we've heard 100 times over and over and over and over. And they're not original. The author may well have intended for slow and steady to win the race, to be the theme of the story. But what I want you to consider as you're discussing it is putting these themes into your own words, and originally stating what you think the author is saying. And to that end, we also need to talk about how to interpret themes. There's lots of different ways to do it. The author has written a story, and of course the author intended a particular theme to be mined out of this story, but the reader is just as important in the story as the writer. And so when you read a story, because you come at it with a different experience and you have lived a different life than the author, you may discover themes in that story that speak to you that the author didn't intend. And that's awesome. That's why I love teaching literature classes so much. It's because I always learn something new from my students. They always come up with different themes that they've discovered in a story that I had never thought about before. Because again, we all approach the literature from different places. And that's awesome. When you're writing, if you think a story has a particular theme, and again, you're talking about theme, not subject, then that's the theme. There's no wrong answer. The thing you need to consider, though, is that it has to be backed up by evidence from the text. So when you state what the theme is, what you think the theme in the story is, you need to be sure you're backing that up with an explanation and direct quotes from the text so that your reader understands how you arrived at that particular theme and why you think that's the theme. And again, there's no wrong answer in literature. It doesn't matter what Hemingway meant for the theme to be in Hills Like White Elephants. What matters is what you think the theme is, and that you can back it up with evidence from the text. Some things that you can look at to identify the theme. The title will sometimes will give you an idea about what the theme is. A narrator or character statement will sometimes the narrator will just state what the theme is, or a character might say it in dialogue. Of course, the author's not going to say the theme of this story is, and then tell the story. You're going to still have to mine it out of there, but the character or the narrator might say it. The arrangement of events can contribute to theme, point of view, symbolism, changing character. And really what I always look to when I'm trying to think about the theme of a story is the story's central conflict. And remember, there are 4 types of conflict. Man versus man, man versus nature, man versus society, and man versus him or herself. And those conflicts are always good places to start when you're trying to identify theme. Something else to remember, there can be more than one conflict in a story. There can be more than one type of conflict, and there can be more than one theme. Often, even in these really short stories, 2 or 3 pages long, even 1 page long, like Story of an Hour, the theme is, there can be many, many themes in this very short piece of literature, which is why short stories are so powerful. They pack a big punch. So those are some places to get started. There are also some conventional themes that authors often write about and have been written about throughout the ages. And the reason these are conventional and popular is because it's just part of the human condition, all of these things. Now, these examples that I've given you here, these are not themes. Remember, a human being's confrontation with nature, that's a thing. That's a noun. It doesn't really say what the author is saying about a human being's confrontation with nature. These are all starting places. So when you're looking for theme, you might look at what the author is saying about a human being's confrontation with nature, or a human being's lack of humanity. A rebellious human being's confrontation with a hostile society. Again, that's a noun. It's not a theme. It's a place to start looking for a theme. What is the author saying about a rebellious human being's confrontation with a hostile society? An individual's struggle towards understanding, awareness, and spiritual enlightenment. Conflict between passion and responsibility, like in Kate Chopin's The Storm. The human glorification of the past, rejection of or rejection of the past, like in A Rose for Emily. The tension between ideal and real, again, A Rose for Emily. Again, there's 2 themes right there, or 2 subjects there that we could talk about. Theme having to do with A Rose for Emily. The conflict between human beings and machines, the impact of the past on the present. Again, these are all subjects, not themes, but these are good places to start. What is the author saying about the evil of unchecked ambition, the struggle for equality? What is the author saying about the loss of innocence or the disillusionment of adulthood? The conflict between parents and children, the making of an artist in a materialistic society, the clash between civilization and wilderness, between appearance and realities, the pain of love, or what passes for it, the perils or rewards of seizing the day, and the inevitability of fate. Again, all good starting places for a discussion of theme. What is the author saying about the inevitability of fate? Okay, what is the author saying about the pain of love? Love is not a theme. Love sucks is the theme. All right? And again, if you were writing the paper, you would just back that assertion up. The theme of this is love sucks, with evidence from the text. That's what I want you to remember as you're discussing theme. Now we have a short video to watch here, and I'm not 100% sure how it's going to work within my recording. Let's see if it takes up.
Want to improve your writing skills and learn what it takes to become
I'm going to sit down at the keyboard,
even if you have no
and it's just going to flow
experience
out of me on
you've come to
paper,
the right
and
place.
it's going to be pure
My
art.
name is Erin, and I have a killer online tutorial.
There we go.
What's the theme? You don't know what a theme is? Your 5th grade teacher ain't taught you nothing? We gonna talk about what a theme is. Yo, Derek here, and today is all about themes. So if you're a little hazy on the whole what is a theme thing, stay tuned, because I'm gonna confuse the hell out of you. Totally kidding. I wouldn't do that to you guys. I love you guys. So I guess we should probably start with what is a theme? Maybe? Definition. Theme. A central idea in a piece of writing or other work of art. You can think of it as the meaning, the life lesson, or the moral of the story. Themes don't have character names and plot details in them. When we're talking about themes, we're talking about a universal concept that is much bigger than the characters or the story that you create. These abstract ideas or observations can be applied to, well, everybody. Me, you, this guy. Well, maybe not that guy, but theme is more or less the writer or filmmaker's message to the audience. Any good film or screenplay can have many themes. Some themes are insanely obvious and others are more subtle. For example, you could say that a theme for Finding Nemo is through friendship you can overcome your fears and insecurities. Doesn't have a character, doesn't mention any plot points, and it's a universal concept. Can be applied to me, you, or this guy. What theme isn't? Well, a theme is not communicated in one word. It's about love, friendship, family. These aren't really themes, they're just subjects or topics. However, you can use the subject to help you find a theme. Themes are observations, opinions, or ideas about the subject of a movie. For example, the subject of a movie could be revenge, but the theme could be revenge destroys everything and everyone, including the person seeking it. How do you find a theme? Well, there are a few different ways. Let's talk about that. 1. Look at your protagonist's journey. How does your main character change throughout the course of the story? What do they learn? If you substitute your main character for, say, all of mankind, then your protagonist's journey and how they change can be a theme. For example, in Iron Man, Tony Stark begins the film as a naive war profiteer, but over the course of the film, he realizes the destructive impact of his actions and takes full responsibility for them. So based on his character arc, you could say that a theme is, we must all take responsibility for our own actions because at the end of the day, nobody else will. And another theme could be, no matter how many mistakes you've made, it's never too late to set things right. 2. Look at the central conflict of the story. What are the opposing forces? Which one wins? And if so, why? And by forces, I mean the more abstract, generalized definition. For example, in The Terminator, the two opposing forces are man and machine. You could say that the theme is, no matter how advanced our creations become, they can never replace the human spirit. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was all swole up with his, metal skeleton and everything, but I mean, we still won. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I love you, bro, but you lost. Machines took an L. 3. Sometimes a character can just flat out state a theme of the movie. Doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. For example, in The Incredibles, just before Bob tries to fight the Omnibot alone at the climax, his wife Helen says this.
I'm asking you to wait with the kids.
And I'm telling you, not a chance. You're my husband, I'm with you. For better or worse, if we work together, you won't have to be.
So if you've seen the movie, you understand that Bob has had trouble embracing this whole marriage/family thing, and his wife Helen is pretty much outright flat saying, if we work together, we can conquer anything. Theme? With family and marital unity, anything is possible. Boom! That was actually kind of good. I like the way I worded that. I'm gonna write that one down. No. You wanna avoid being too vague or obvious with your themes. For example, family is awesome. Love is blind. Love conquers all. Friendship is important. Yeah, I'm just not digging those. There's more. It's worth mentioning that themes can be horribly subjective. Two different people can read the same script or watch the same movie and walk away with two completely different themes. Sometimes a film can have conflicting themes, or sometimes people can see themes in a piece of work or film that the filmmaker outright rejects or didn't intend to be there. Somebody could easily think that the theme for Man of Steel is never trust frickin' aliens. Hey, it's subjective. He wouldn't be wrong. The general rule of thumb is if you see it, you own it. We bring our own life experiences into the scripts that we read and the films that we watch. The way that we interpret the meaning of what we see is also informed by our own life experiences. As a result, people will inherently see different messages and meanings. So whatever themes you see, they're absolutely true. For you. Now, of course, all the examples that I used earlier are all based on my own subjective experience, so... Which means you gotta come up with your own theme, fool! So how does this affect my writing? You'll find that when you're writing your own work, the same themes keep popping up, whether you intend for it or not. You'll naturally sort of gravitate to certain topics or subject matters. It could possibly, maybe, more than likely, probably leaning more towards sure, almost 100% sure, definitely, probably mean that these things are important to you on a subconscious level. I noticed in my own work, I always tend towards the exploration of pain. My characters are always dealing with a lot of shit. I don't know what it is about it. I just, when I start writing, I always end up writing about that in some form or another. As a writer, try not to force a theme. Oftentimes, when you're working on a project and you get but so far into the writing process, a theme just sort of rises.
At the end about screenwriting, and this particular YouTube user is a screenwriter, and so that's kind of what he's talking about when he's talking about scripts and movies. But all that he says about theme is very, very applicable to our discussion of literature and theme. So again, what I want you to consider as you write about theme is that you are exploring what the author is saying about the subject, not the subject. And like he said, one word is not a theme. I want you to think outside of the box. I want you to put it into your own words. I want you to remember in your writing to back up your assertion of theme with evidence from the text and examples from the text. And like he said, if you saw it, you own it. You just need to be able to explain it well. So if you have any questions as you work on theme or as you consider theme, please be sure to let me know.